Notifications take forever. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new edition of NASCAR by the Numbers. Got the usual panel on NASCAR opinion, and myself, the only Brandon Jones fan in the world.
Yeah, the only Brandon Jones fan in the world. Oh man, that's a bad claim to fame right there.
Oh, I should have picked Keselowski.
I don't know why you did it. Tried to warn you. People don't want to listen.
Anyway, so we're gonna give you a preview of Texas, what to expect, all that good stuff. We'll give like a quick review of Martinsville, just so you know. Long story short, Truex dominated, locks himself into the Final Four. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano doing what they need to do, gave himself some decent cushions. Kyle Busch still relying on his regular season to still be above the cut line. Got into some scuffles with Eric Almirola and such. Chase Elliott broke an axle, I think. He was done for the day, finished basically
yeah, blew a motor in practice, broken axle in the race.
Yep, basically must win. He's like minus 44. Ryan Blaney doing what he needs. Ryan Blaney was actually in the top 5 basically the entire race. So around where we thought he'd be irrelevant, we're actually going to some decent tracks. Texas is one of his best tracks. Phoenix is 50-50. Qualify well, but you can never race well. And then Kevin Harvick, he's staying in the equation along with Ryan Blaney, but Harvick's on pole, so he's probably going to do so. He's got a decent shot to make it to the Final Four. Last time he was on pole, he won the race at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going into Texas, like you said, the review of Martinsville is pretty much Martin Truex Jr. led, and everyone else wept. But looking at the Texas, I mean, this weekend the favorite's got to be Kevin Harvick. He's on the pole. He's won the last 2. I'm kind of cheering for Harvick. If the 9 car can't get it done, I'd really like to see Harvick make it, just to kind of break up that Gibbs brigade. I don't think a lot of people are really hoping not all 3 Gibbs cars make it, even though they are the favorites to make it. One's already locked in, we know. At least another one's going to get in on points unless something catastrophic happens. But really looking at the playoff field, you look at Truex Jr. He's my pick today, but the only reason is because, like I've said, that team's been kind of up and down, and when they're up, they seem to really be up. Denny Hamlin, you got to consider him a favorite every week now. I just don't necessarily think that this is a place where you think he's just going to go out and win. Kyle Busch, I think, today, but he's starting just inside the top 15. So, it's not like he's sticking out. Like, this is a win that Kyle Busch is just going to have. You look at Logano, same kind of way with him. Nothing kind of sticks out. Kevin Harvick, first guy below the line. I mean, he's the favorite. I've got a good feeling about him. And you feel like that team getting the pole really kind of starts off their weekend the way they want it to. Harvick and his team are great when they can control their own destiny. And we've already seen them start to control that, have the pole. How many times have we seen Kevin Harvick get the pole and just dominate the race? And now you've got that. So you got the opening for that. Harvick's going to be out front most of the day. You look at Blaney, I agree with you. I think today's his best shot. We've seen him run top 5, top 7 at Texas. They're going to have an opportunity. Larson, if this was old Texas, you would say Kyle Larson has an opportunity, but it's not. You can't run the outside. I don't care how many times they drag the tires up the top. They've ruined Texas Motor Speedway. It's a 1-lane racetrack at the very bottom. You can run through there too wide, but it's not like you're going to get racing there too wide. Kyle Larson's going to have to ride the bottom if he wants to go fast, and that's not his style. He's not going to win the race. Chase Elliott, I think this is another team that can compete, but I just don't know if that team – let's just hope that team can finish the race right now and not have any issues. I don't know if they're focused on winning.
Yeah, so basically Harvick is the first one on the outside looking in. He's minus 14. Then, like we said, he's on the pole. If he were to – Hamlin is plus 24. So – let's just say for right now, let's say he's like a lock for Homestead. Obviously, he's now 24 points that we saw last. I can't. What the hell happened? We good? All right. All right, see, I was saying, so like, let's just assume Hamlin is plus. I know 24 points is really nothing when it comes to the grand scheme of things. I mean, Keselowski was plus 20 going to Kansas. He's not even running. He's not even in the playoffs anymore. But let's just say, hypothetically, Hamlin is basically locked in. So we're looking at Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, who are plus 17 and plus 14. Who do you think Harvick has the best shot of those two to knock out?
Of which two you said? Busch and Logano?
Joey Logano. Because they really, ever since their last wins of the season, Logano in Michigan and Kyle at Pocono, they've really been hit or miss.
I think you've got to look at who's better at Phoenix, but honestly, if you really look at it, neither one stick out at Phoenix either. I think you have to give the fact – and see, now I'm looking at their points. I mean, they're only a 3-point difference between them. You would have to think in terms of momentum, he'd have a better shot at knocking out Kyle Busch right now because the 18 team has just not been there. The 22 team has been hanging on, but at least – and maybe it's just due to other controversy. If you really think about it, that's the only thing Logano's really been in the conversation about. It hasn't been about his performance. It's been about he spun and almost killed his playoff chances at Kansas late in the race, and then he got into it with Denny Hamlin. I mean, I really don't know. They're almost the same guy right now. They're almost the same exact driver in different cars. They're both kind of really quiet. They're hanging around. You thought they'd be doing something a lot better and be flashy, but they haven't been. I guess if you have to pick one, I have a better feeling about Logano right now than I do Kyle Busch, and that's just in the grand scheme of things. I have both of them in my Final Four. So I would say that Harvick has a better chance of knocking off Busch than Logano. But it's also a scary thought to sit there and say, yeah, Kyle Busch is going to get knocked out of the Final Four.
I mean, I had Kyle Busch when we started – when we started the playoffs, I had Kyle Busch make the Final Four. I just didn't think he'd be this. I don't want to say bad for his stand. Like even like his standards for even when Kyle Busch is doing mediocre, he's like running 8th to 10th. But even then, I mean, I did the math. His average finish in these 7 playoff races is like 14.8. Vegas, he finished 19th. Richmond, I've been saying all playoffs is his only highlight. The Roval, I mean, he clearly quit the race. Dover, he did all right at. Talladega, completely got wrecked out. And then Kansas, he did all right. And then Martinsville, you got into it now as well. So Kyle Busch has been very, very hit or miss. And I'm not going to revert it back to his 2008 self where, he basically just choked away. But it's like, I've been like, ever since the playoffs started, every time we go into a new round, Kyle Busch has those playoff points, he's going to be at the top. But he always drops down. And I actually did the research. There's only one race where Kyle Busch actually gained more points. And that was after Richmond, where he finished second in stage 1 or stage 2, one of those stages. But after Vegas, he lost points. After the Roval, I mean, you can't really say he lost points because it was a cutoff race. Dover lost points. Talladega lost points. And Kansas, you can't really say it either. Martinsville, he lost points. So Kyle Busch,
it brings up a good point, and it just highlights how important the regular season is. I mean, that's how it just shows how important his 4 wins and 11. I don't know how many stage wins it was prior to the playoffs. I think it was 8 or 9. How important those are. 10 shows you how important the regular season is because he has not been by any means is he not transferring because of his performance right now. He's transferring each round because of what he did the first 26 weeks. Which is really weird because, I mean, the only 2 favorites there are right now is Truex and Hamlin because they're the only 2 teams that have shown decent life pretty much even every other week. But for most weeks, they've shown life. They've looked competitive. They've won races. Everybody else really has some blemishes. Like you said, Busch, he's been very quiet. So is Logano. Harvick's really, I mean, those 3 drivers, Busch, Logano, and Harvick, which are 3 of my Final Four, have virtually disappeared besides other storylines. And Harvick really hadn't even had outside storylines. He's just kind of disappeared. Blaney and Larson, they're limited expectation-wise. You know how me and you mutually agree on how we feel about those 2. Yeah. And then really the other one's Chase Elliott, and it's not that he hadn't performed bad. It's just he's had bad luck. He's had things break. I mean, if you were to take out the woes that Chase Elliott has had, first you look at Dover, which is statistically his best racetrack on the schedule. He probably doesn't even have any sort of pressure at Kansas, or at most it's 5 points or less out. Okay. Then you throw in the Ryan Blaney win, which even made that a wider gap. Somehow he still makes up that gap. Then he goes out last week at Martinsville, again, one of his best racetracks as of the last couple of years. Comes from the front to the back, no problem. Obviously, some of that was assisted, guys pulling over, all that. But either way, back to the front, no problem. Had a bad, fast race car, was second in practice the day before, or qualified second, excuse me. One of the best race cars that we were going to see that day, brakes and axle right after stage one. You look at it right now, Chase Elliott's out by 44. If he doesn't win that race last weekend, he's still, 15 points back at the most? I mean, that team itself, again, they're not having a perfect playoffs. That's what's been really weird is really only 2 drivers at this point deserve to race for that championship. We know 4 are going to. We know another 2 are going to have to come from somewhere. It's just going to be interesting to see what those 2 are.
Yes, I mean, we basically said it like Hamlin and Truex are the favorites. I mean, Hamlin is plus 24. Going to the Truck Series, Hamlin kind of reminds me of how Brett Moffitt was this season. I mean, like, for those who watch the Truck Series, ever since, like, it was kind of quiet in the first half of the regular season, even though Hamlin won 2 races in the first half. And then once we get to the playoffs and the last portion of the regular season, that's when they really started to turn it on. So it kind of reminded me of Brett Moffitt. So like that's like just a little comparison I wanted to make. So obviously, I mean, if we were to choose any of the bottom 4 to make it, I mean, it'd be Kevin Harvick. I mean, he's on the pole as the easiest. But I guess between like the 3 they're basically wild cards. I mean, if Chase Elliott didn't have that axle break, I wouldn't consider him a wild card. With minus 44, how are you going to make? Unless you pull off a miracle in these next 2 races, like you're not going to pull it off unless you win. So
and see. What just a note on that before you hit on it. Like Chase Elliott, like I still feel more confident about the 9 car making it than I do the 12 or the 42. And he's 44 points back. And that's just because that team has proven they can win. There's still a chance they win today. There's a chance they win next week at Phoenix. Chase Elliott's been leading at Phoenix with less than 20 laps to go in that very race. That just as a note on the 9 car, that's how wild this playoff has been. I'm more confident in the guy who is 44 points back than I am the guy that's 15 points back in Ryan Blaney.
Chase Elliott starting 14th, Kyle Larson starting 13th, and Ryan Blaney, where's he starting? He's starting 15th. So the 3 of them are really starting mid-pack. So I thought Larson would honestly do better. I mean, he finished top 10 at Martinsville, which for Larson's standards is a miracle, let alone to finish on the lead lap is a miracle for Kyle Larson at Martinsville. So he, I guess, did what he had to do. Chase Elliott obviously had his issue there. Ryan Blaney finished top 5, but I guess out of the 4, I mean, like I said, like I'd pick Kevin Harvick to make it out of the 4, just to like more experience. Oh,
by far. I mean, by far, he's the favorite out of the bottom 4. I mean, if you're putting a gun to my head and said I'm telling you the future, 1 guy out of the bottom 4 is making it, and I'm just letting you know what that is. It's Kevin Harvick, bar none. This week and next week are 2 of his best racetracks, especially the current Texas. I mean, obviously, it's got to be Kevin Harvick. I mean, as much as, like I said, as much as the 9 car can win any weekend, I mean, at this point, let's just not have a failure the next 2 weeks. I mean, I still don't have enough confidence in Chase as a driver because he hasn't had that experience. We've seen Kevin Harvick have Game 7 moments at Phoenix multiple years where he's got to win that race. And it's like a video. It's just like me and you playing a video game. We know there's certain tracks we play on NASCAR Heat that we're just going to win the race. You just know we're winning the race.
Bristol, Atlanta, Dover.
You know you're winning the race. But here, and in real life, that's Kevin Harvick. I think at one point he won like 4 in a row. It's like every driver knows this is the one guy we got to beat. In a cruel world, like a non-professional world, everybody would just agree, hey, let's wreck this guy early, and then we'll try to compete for the win. But Kevin Harvick has been that guy that video game mode just says, okay, I'm going to win this. Start. Okay, I won the race. We've seen him do this. I don't think Chase Elliott necessarily can go out and just do that. I don't think that 9 team is ready. So I'm 100% with you. Harvick's the favorite of the 4.
An interesting fact, though, about Chase Elliott. All 3 of his wins this year, he's led the most laps. If I can remember on the top of my head, Talladega, I think he led like 42 or 43. Watkins Glen, he led all but 5 laps?
I can't remember if it was that dominant, but it was a fairly – I think it might have been in the 70s or 80s. I think it was a fairly good chunk of that race.
And then the roll.
I remember that race. He flat out just went out, and I think he won the stages and just everything.
Yeah, he won the stages and the race. But let's talk about one last thing before we talk about like our Texas picks. Let's go with the two favorites, Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin. Who do you think has the most momentum? Because, like you said before, Truex is very hit or miss. He's either doing really hot or he's really cold. Hamlin, he hasn't really. The only time he's really been really like cold is during the summer, or really like that Talladega to the third win of the season at Pocono. But ever since then, he hasn't really had like a cold streak. He's either just.
Yeah, I've already got my pick. Between those two, it's a 100%. It's Martin Truex Jr. Because Martin, even though they're wishy-washy, right now they're on that high list. So right now, I mean, he just came off of a win. You've been in this position. You're already locked into Homestead. That's nothing but positive vibes. That's why I picked Martin Truex. Well, I'm going to quit saying my pick, even though I've said it twice. We'll talk about that in a second. But he has that momentum because it's not only physically, he's got the win from last week. He's ready to roll towards Homestead. You're always feeling good off of a win. But mentally, he's got the advantage because Denny Hamlin, while Denny Hamlin has been very strong, and Denny Hamlin's also been winning, anytime we start a new round, it's a new round. Denny Hamlin's not thinking, we just won 2 weeks ago at Kansas. Denny Hamlin's thinking, I need to win so I can get to Homestead. And so mentally right now, he had to look at his teammate, who he knows is a former champion. He knows has more experience in this format, in this situation. And he said, that guy just won. I need to make sure that I win. And he has to think, I know I have to go potentially race that guy in 3 weeks for a championship. So Truex is in the seat you want to be in because he's already won. There's nothing to worry about. This weekend and next weekend is literally probably Martin Truex Jr.'s 2 favorite weekends of the year because he's at this point, he reverts back. He doesn't worry about points, nothing. He's just enjoying being an NASCAR driver the next 2 weeks. He's relaxing. It's a vacation. If I was Martin Truex Jr., I would have flown out to Texas like on Tuesday. I would have vacationed for 3 or 4 days. I would have showed up to the racetrack dressed like a bum on Friday, said, where's my fight? All right. I would have practiced it, qualified the car, done whatever. And then the second I get out of the car today, I'd fly to Phoenix, Arizona. I'd find something to do for 4 more days because there's nothing to worry about right now. And you could sit there and say you got to get prepared for Homestead. And trust me, they can get prepared for Homestead. But Martin Truex Jr. sitting at the shop saying, this is what I think the seat needs to feel like. The car needs. That's not going to help Homestead. I mean, that's what I've been doing. That's why, to me, he's got to have the advantage. He's relaxing.
All right, so I might as well give. You already gave your Texas pick, so basically.
Yeah. Oh, Martin Truex Jr., I guess. It'll be interesting because what I just said, they're so relaxed. That's all they care about. Just go win the race. What else are we here for? And that's why we've seen Truex go back-to-back a handful of times. We've seen him do it earlier this year in the playoffs. I mean, when you have a win, you're just out here having fun trying to go as fast as you can. That doesn't stop you. You don't have to think about any kind of crazy strategy. You don't have to worry about pit stops. Just do your job and let's win, and then we'll move on to the next race.
All right, so my pick to win the race is Denny Hamlin. I think he's going to sweep Texas. I think he did that before. I forgot what year it was. Was it 2010? In the meantime, the United States Grand Prix started. That must be 5.
I keep swiping this thing, but I don't know if I know he's won at Texas, obviously, but I can't remember what year it was he swept it.
Well, I think he's going to do it again. I think Denny Hamlin's going to lock himself into the Final 4. He's going to pray to the tech gods, and the tech gods are going to answer his prayers, and he's going to win the race.
Which is a great pick. Where's he starting today?
Hamlin is starting 3rd.
And see, the only thing that's going to be rough about today, which we can go ahead and start kind of talking about Texas. People know how I feel about Texas. And maybe I didn't watch the Xfinity race last night. I was at a friend's house watching the Gamecocks actually win a ball game this year here in South Carolina. I didn't watch a bunch of it. I heard it wasn't nothing crazy and all this kind of. I know something happened with Chase Briscoe. That's all I know.
I know Chase Briscoe hit the wall, and there was no caution. You have to go down pit road.
Yeah, then I heard. Well, then I also heard something about they didn't pit when they should have here or something. I don't really know. But anyways, so literally, my idea of what's probably going to happen today is that we're going to be in a straight line parade. I'm not going to see a bunch. Whoever gets off the pit road first and has a solid restart, they're going to be the ones in the catbird seat. Restarts may be wishy-washy, but other than that, we're going to go single file, and we're going to see whoever is the leader check out 2 or 3 seconds. Occasionally, we might see Kevin Harvick or somebody who has a fast car in second get close, and then this little thing that we've never heard of this year, Arrow's going to kick in, and they can't pass them. Then maybe a lap car will get in the way. That's what we really need. We really need Garrett Smithley out there. Then we may get a green flag pass. And then there we go. I'm gonna try to remember to count green flag passes today. I'm gonna see. I'm fairly certain it'll be on one hand. I'm gonna see if we can get any green flag passes today. And I hate to be negative. I hate to, because this is my favorite time of the year. It's playoffs. It's a lot of implications. It's what we've all waited for. But they've ruined Texas. I mean, the old Texas puts Kyle Larson into play for today. I mean, he puts a variety of people into play today because they can ride the outside. There used to be 3 lanes of racing at Texas. And, naturally the car's been the problem, so NASCAR fixes the track. Supposedly.
Let's stick with the 1.5 mile theme. Currently a track that's not in the playoffs, 2019 playoffs. If you had to get rid of Texas, which 1.5 mile would you put it?
I mean, as long as they do it at night, I think you got to put Chicago. Chicago was a really, really good race this year. In Texas would have been just as good if they just didn't whatever they did to the corners. I can't remember.
They gave turns 1 and 2 a facelift.
But what I'm saying, either way, it's a 1-lane racetrack. They can put down as much rubber as you want. If the car physically won't turn in the center and up high, you're not going to use it. You can't use it.
I know in the Xfinity race, I think Tyler Reddick was the only one who tried it, and even then, I don't think it worked.
I mean, it's never going to. But Eddie Gossage, the great marketing wizard that everyone praises for his marketing, can't market the one thing he needs to do, which is fix the racetrack. I mean, but if I had to put in one track based on what they did this year with this package and the right circumstances, you go to Chicago at night. There's not a lot of off-throttle time, even with the old package. I mean, there is, but what I'm saying is it's swooping corners. You just go bad fast there. Put it at night with this package. You're holding it wide open. Look at the race we had. We had an exciting winner with Alex Bowman. I mean, restarts were wild. I mean, that's the natural pick. I don't know why this Texas I really don't know if a night race would even affect Texas. Have we had a night race at Texas with this package?
Last night race at Texas was 2016. We're called
right. So I'm curious what it would do, if anything, because again, like I said, Texas is the race where the package isn't even really the fault of anything going on here. It's just the racetrack is the fault. Because it's just a 1-lane racetrack. It doesn't matter what package you were to bring to this racetrack anymore. I mean, you might as well say, here's the groove, and then here's just trying to think of a good Halloween references we just had. Like, just here's darkness. The rest of the track is just darkness. If you go up here, you just slide off the racetrack. And so I guess I'd be interested in what a night race at Texas with this package could do. I don't know if that's anything. But Chicago.
Yeah, I'd probably pick Chicago lane too. Or give Atlanta a second date. Give Atlanta a second date in the night race.
Give Atlanta a second race in the night with this package. Whoo! Those restarts would be the only thing I would question, and I hate to be a Formula One driver and complain about bumps, is that I've wondered with Atlanta's bumps and characteristics if it would throw off the package a little bit because the car's still got to handle good. You know what I mean? It's not like a Chicago where the track's pristine. They're not going to have a lot of problems. The track's smooth. In Atlanta, you can try to hold it all open to, but you've still got to adjust. You still got to get on the wheel, make sure you don't lose it. That's the only thing that I'd see, but I think that'd be a great idea. Atlanta at night. That would be huge.
Speaking of Formula One, the United States Grand Prix is going on, so God forbid the drive. God forbid the bumps.
Wild prediction. Don't tell me anything. Lewis Hamilton's leading.
I'm too lazy to actually look it up, but it wouldn't surprise me. Or maybe God forbid, the drivers can't handle the bumps, those dangerous bumps. They're too dangerous for the track and for the drivers.
I want people, because people were hot. Like, I was ticking some people off. And I want people to realize, like, when I tweeted out, this is why NASCAR should be your motorsport of choice, it was just like, if you're a person that's borderline thinking, I want one series to mainly focus on, that's why it should be NASCAR. I wasn't saying you can't watch any other series. And everybody was like freaking out, like, what you mean I can't watch IndyCar anymore? I can't watch Monster Jam anymore? I'm just like, calm down. Like, I'm just telling you this is why. And I probably blew that out of proportion. Obviously, I know it was only 3 or 4 I heard that are kind of people were complaining about it and all that stuff. And I actually heard, dude, I don't watch Formula One, but I feel like if I had to pick a driver, it'd probably be Daniel Ricciardo. And I know very little about him, but just it seems like he has a great personality.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's a guy that's a little edgy. I've seen him in some NASCAR gear. And like this past weekend, I think he was one of the few drivers, and maybe the only one that actually went the opposite direction and was just like, why don't we just race? You know what I mean? I think I remember him being the guy that was like, he didn't care about the bumps. He's just go race.
Actually, an interesting fact, Daniel Ricciardo's number is the number 3, and he picked it because Dale Earnhardt's his childhood hero.
I was wrong. As of 5 minutes ago, Valtteri Bottas is leading.
Oh, yeah, his teammate.
I was wrong. Yeah, his teammate in the car that looks exactly the same.
Yeah, they all look. The only time I've seen a Formula One car with teammates that look different was last year at Abu Dhabi with Fernando Alonso.
Well, I will say this, and this is just me, even though this is NASCAR by the numbers. I know you guys, your show is the best place to listen to like talks of all motorsports. I did see that Formula One's coming out with a new car in a couple years that looked fairly interesting. And I think it's something that obviously NASCAR and Formula One, the cars are so different. But if the dirty air, clean air concept goes well for Formula One, I think that's something NASCAR has to look at for the future, because I think this is the first time they're trying to design a car with the intent of the second place car to have, like, to be able to pass, which could be huge. Small note on that.
That's true, yeah. Both basically 2021, 2022, I see it as like the big year for motorsport. That's when IndyCar is coming out with this new engine, I believe. NASCAR, obviously, with the Gen 7 of the schedule, basically a brand new NASCAR. Formula One with its new car. It's like 2021, 2022, that's going to be very interesting for motorsports.
And back to NASCAR, dude, I'm telling you, the next gen car is starting to pique my interest. And it's not, obviously, we won't know what it's going to do until the 2021 Daytona 5. And you really don't even know what it's going to do till whatever the second race of that year is going to be. Which, remember, there's still a rumor that the Daytona 500 may not even be the first race anymore. That hasn't surfaced. But whatever the first 1.5 mile racetrack we go to in 2021, that'll be the first real test. Does this car do its job? But it seems like there's a lot of excitement. I know multiple Cup Series drivers that have tested it seem very excited about it. I know Kurt Busch himself made sure he re-signed at least a 2-year deal because he said, I want to know what this next-gen car is going to be. Austin Dillon, whether or not you want to take praise from the guy who finishes 24th every week, he said it's a good car. Which either way, that's just a joke. Austin Dillon, he knows what these cars need to feel like or what a fun race car is going to feel like. That would be great. I'd really be interested to have a guy like Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick test that car. That's what I think needs to happen. Those are the guys that right now are the best in the series. Those are the kind of guys I want to hear feedback from. They've been around long enough to drive so many different generations of car. I think it would be a lot of fun to hear those two. Or even a Denny Hamlin. I think Denny Hamlin may have. I was going to throw that out, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to.
The sport since 06. So he's driven the Gen 4, the COT, and the Gen 6.
He's been around, but I can't remember. What I'm saying is I can't remember if he tested it or not.
Oh,
I feel like I thought he did, but I wasn't going to say that because I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Denny Hamlin also goes way back.
Have any playoff drivers tested the car yet?
I don't think they have, and that's what I'm uncertain of. I thought I heard Denny Hamlin. They said he liked the car, but I think there's only been one test, and that one test was with Austin Dillon. So I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's the only test I know of.
And then get this, you just reminded me of like mid-2000s NASCAR with Denny Hamlin. before we get out of here, you probably seen my tweets, but just in case you didn't, I'll try to ask you this quiz question. Who is the last Rookie of the Year candidate to win on an oval? Driver, track, and year. An oval. Now remember, oval, traditional oval. I'm not talking about some kind of triangle that sits up in Pennsylvania, a road course, none of that. Not a super speedway. Throw it out of the question. Last to win on a true traditional oval as a rookie competitor.
I mean, the last rookie to win was Chris Busch, but that was on a triangle. Was it Joey Logano back in 2009?
Oh, well, technically you're right. Here's the thing. I forgot to say this. This is on me.
Green flag.
Non-rain shortened. Full race. Full race. That would actually be the right answer. But full race, no rain, because Joey Logano was nowhere near winning that race before the rain fell.
Okay, no, so Logano in 09. I don't think any, Juan Pablo Montoya wants to know.
Montoya was on the list, but he was on a road course.
Yeah, that's a no.
He's one of the last 5 rookies to win a race.
I want to say either Hamlin or Kyle Busch.
So it was Kyle Busch in 2005 at Auto Club. At Fontana driving the number 5 Chevy.
Yeah, I know Hamlin swept Pocono, but I don't know if he won any more.
Hamlin was the following year at Pocono.
Yeah, I don't know if he won any other races in that season besides.
That's the way I broke it down. So the last rookie to win, technically Justin Haley's the last rookie to just win no matter how you count the win. The last rookie to win a full-length race was Trevor Bayne in 2011. Prior to that, it was Juan Montoya in 2007. So really, you had 3 years in a row. You had Busch in 05, Hamlin in 06, Montoya in 08. Then you didn't have another rookie win until 2011 with Trevor Bayne. And then, obviously, I don't remember. I think next might have been the Chris Buescher year with the rain-shortened race in like 15 or 16. There might be someone in between I'm not thinking of. But, yeah, very tricky. And if you saw my stats this morning on my Twitter, I was just bored this morning. I had nothing to do.
Yeah, I saw you. Cup Series winners, top 10 poll. You just threw everything out.
So the moral I learned from all this, and then we'll get out of here, is it's hard to win in NASCAR. Out of every person that has ever competed, and I don't know that number. That's the number I'm not willing to dedicate myself to. But I don't know if it's anywhere near that many. But if I had to guess, I mean, there has to have been at least 2, 3. I don't even know if I go to 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000. Because you got to think, it's only been around for 70 years. So officially, drivers that have started, and fields back in the day used to be shorter. I mean, it's a hard question to answer. I don't even know if it's got to be at least 1,000, you would think. You think there has to be at least 1,000 people that have started a cup race. Only 193 have a win. Out of that, 131 have 2 or more wins. And then I broke it down like per group of 5 wins and all that kind of stuff.
2,934.
That's wild.
Because remember,
out of 2,934, 193 have managed to win.
To anyone who says NASCAR doesn't require talent, there's your answer.
Well, to be fair, the last 600 of it's guys like Quinn Hoff, and don't get me. The standards have fallen. Actually, no, that's me actually being biased. People don't realize there were guys in like the 70s and 80s that went straight from late models to the Cup Series because someone had a car for them to drive. Like I've started doing this. Like when I go back and listen to old stories, like Ricky Rudd, who people consider a very solid Cup Series talent, who has like 20-some wins. He literally ran motocross, go-karts, Cup Series.
Hey,
that's just what there just wasn't those development series like you know what I'm saying? Like, and so as much as I don't get me wrong, I do think NASCAR has gotten more complex, the technology, understanding the etiquette, that they should require more starts in lower series. Guys like Quinn Hoff and them, they have similar backgrounds. They've been racing 5, 6, 7, 8 years, lower, at their short tracks, your go-karts and whatever, and then they go straight to the Cup Series. As much as I don't like it, it's similar to what happened 20 years ago.
Hey, man, you tell NCAL, man, he picks Quinn Hoff for everything.
Quinn Houff, man, future Cup star.
Next Casey Atwood.
I hate that I missed Casey Atwood. I think he was in, what, 2001 or 2? Like, that's when I started watching, but I was just so young. I know the name. I remember the 7 car. I don't remember anything about him. I just remember that he was supposed to be the first Joey Logano, and then he just did not pan out. And it was just downhill, and now he's like a late model driver.
Probably a real estate agent.
Hey, real estate makes some good money.
Yeah, that's true. All right,
Anyways.
Yeah. All right, that's everything. So that's for your NASCAR by the numbers and your NASCAR history lesson along with it.
There you go. Well, I mean, there's just it's Texas. I don't have a lot to talk about.
No, it's Texas. What are we gonna? Okay, Kevin Harvick, stage 1. Kevin Harvick.
Also,
10 seconds.
If you're looking for by the numbers, we still don't really have a lot of numbers. This is only what, the 3rd or 4th, 5th race on this design of Texas. I mean, Kevin Harvick's won 2 of them. He's gonna probably win today. That's your numbers. Number 4. It's gonna be number 1. Even though I picked
Jimmy won the first one. If we want to make this race somewhat interesting, Jimmy, come from 23rd to 1st. You've come from last to first, God knows how many times. So you won the championship in 2016 coming from dead last.
Yep. Jimmy Johnson should lose his ride, but Daniel Suarez should sign a 5-year deal. That's the moral of this week's conversation.
I saw that on Twitter, too.
Anyways, get out of here. We'll enjoy the race. Make sure you follow us. He's going to be – what's yours? It's at Velocity WRM, right?
Yep.
I got that right. Memory, muscle memory right there. Obviously, NASCAR opinion. I'm sure we'll both be tweeting during the race. You going to get to watch at least the first part of the race?
Yeah, I'm going to watch a decent chunk of the race. Then I'm going to go racing myself, actually. I'm trying to go for the 6-speed for the second time.
There you go. So we'll both be, I'm sure, tweeting, giving our thoughts. I know I'll be tweeting the entire race. It's one of my favorite things to do during the race. And Lord knows with Texas, we're going to need something to do during the race.
Yep.
So there we go. But all right, that's all I got. I'm sure we'll figure out something for Phoenix. And obviously, we got to figure out something for Homestead. We'll both be there. Yeah. And I mean, folks, I've got to sit with a Brandon Jones fan. It's going to be a long night.
Comes in tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.